It's Friday, May 17. Good afternoon. I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching on onespotmedia.com. Another Jamaica urban transit company, JUTC Bus Fire last night, the third in 1 week, has forced the company to carry out an assessment of its fire prevention capabilities. The latest incident caused minor damage to the JUTC bus after it caught fire along Hope Road in St. Andrew. JUTC Managing Director Paul Abrahams says no one was injured in yesterday's incident.
We had a little small incident on Hope Road in which a hydraulic leak. It looks like a hydraulic leak. It spewed some fuel on the turbocharger. It ignited a bit. No major damage. We were able to extinguish it very quickly. Investigations are undergoing, but there was no damage to the vehicle. No persons were injured at all. And the bus should be back in operation by possibly Sunday, latest Monday.
On Tuesday, a JUTC bus was destroyed by fire near Halfway Tree in St. Andrew. The bus company suspects arson in that incident. Last week, Friday, another JUTC bus was destroyed by fire in Bull Bay, St. Andrew. That fire is still being investigated. Jamaicans are this afternoon being urged to be bold in speaking out against rampant acts of criminality in society. The call was made at the launch of a public education campaign by the chairman of the St. James Ministers Fraternal on Tuesday. TVJ's O'Shane Masters has the details.
It's time to break the code of silence against crime and criminal activities. That's a charge to residents of St. James by chairman of the St. James Ministers Fraternal, Peter Burnett. His call comes against a backdrop of the recent spike in criminal activities in the parish, which led to the imposition of the second state of emergency. According to data from the police, 48 murders have been reported in St. James between January 1 to April 20, compared to 29 murders in the corresponding period last year, when the parish was under a state of public emergency. But for Mr. Burnett, if persons were willing to speak out about the acts of criminality, the situation would not be this dire.
If the government and all the leaders do everything they can to remove every kind of corruption or any kind of thing from any of the security forces, if we, the people, remain quiet, there will be no change.
He says if there is to be any change in the crime in the parish and the country on a whole, it must start with the community.
We are Jamaicans. Huh? Where's this fear? I see fear. People, well, me not say nothing. Brothers and sisters, if you love our policemen, you can't keep quiet. If you love our soldiers, you cannot keep quiet anymore.
Meanwhile, President of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce, Winston Lawson, while applauding the successes under the state of emergency in the parish so far, had a word of caution for the authorities.
We encourage them to ensure that the shortcomings of the prior SOE is not featured in this current SOE. These shortcomings related to issues concerning intelligence-based decision-making for detention of suspects, gun recovery from the criminal underworld, habitable lockup and detention areas, and the expedition of the relevant reforms and policies and strategies to bring about the permanent fix, a sustained level of low crime.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
One man is dead following a shooting incident along Ward Avenue in Mandeville, Manchester last night. He has been identified as 27-year-old Javon Myers. Information is that Mr. Myers was walking along Smoky Street off Ward Avenue around minutes to 8 when two men aboard a car drove up and shot him several times. Myrie, who was from a Hanbury Road address in the parish, was later pronounced dead at hospital. The Mandeville police are investigating. A St. Elizabeth boat operator on Wednesday pleaded guilty to breaches of the Tourist Board Act when he appeared in the St. Elizabeth Parish Court. Ray Robinson of Black River was fined $20,200 or 30 days in prison. Mr. Robinson was arrested by members of the St. Elizabeth Marine Police on April 3 after he was seen transporting visitors and offering tours on the Black River. In court, he was unable to produce any of the relevant documents to prove he was a licensed boat operator. The court was told that it's the third time since 2016 that Mr. Robinson has been charged for illegally offering tours on the Black River. To a TVJ News follow-up now, water has been restored to the Brownstown Market in St. Anne. This follows an urgent plea from vendors who do their trade in that market. When we spoke with Councillor for the Brownstown Division, Kim Brown Lawrence, yesterday, this was her response to the situation.
All rumors, sir. The bill has been paid on. It hasn't been paid off because, you know, we owe in the millions that we came in and got. We inherited that bill. So it's been paid on monthly. It's paid on a monthly basis.
But according to Corporate Public Relations Manager at the NWC, Charles Buchanan, the water was disconnected by the National Water Commission. However, TVJ News understands that the commodity was restored sometime after 9 o'clock last night. Information reaching our news team is that millions of dollars were owed to the Water Commission by the St. Anne Parish Council, which led to the drastic measure being taken by the NWC. It's understood that the amount owed, approximately $3.4 million was paid over to the Commission yesterday.
There is a problem. We have a monthly bill of $1 million or more. We're working with NWC to try and correct and see if there are any leaks. We're also working with the municipal corporation to galvanize the pipes and rechange all the routes to see if there are any theft been happening with the water. The municipal corporation will be working with the Brownstown Market and around them and other areas to make sure this doesn't happen again, to inconvenience hundreds of vendors.
The Universal Service Fund, USF, says 4 more public spaces will get free Wi-Fi this year. The USF says so far, 7 public spaces in St. Elizabeth and St. Andrew have been equipped with free Wi-Fi. Chief Executive Officer of the USF, Daniel Dawes, gave an update on the new plans during a function in marvelous St. Andrew this week.
We have invested over $7 billion in projects. And these projects are aimed at providing internet access to the most vulnerable in the country. And I repeat that, to the most vulnerable in the country. Through our island-wide broadband network, we provided and is providing connectivity at police stations, post offices, libraries, and schools.
We go now to news and sports. Head coach of Jamaica's team to the recent IAAF World Relays in Japan, Maurice Wilson, is proposing relay champs to address some of Jamaica's shortcomings in the meet. Jamaica ended second on the points table at the meet, but didn't win any gold medals. The women's 4x200 meter team, which included Olympic champions Elaine Thompson and Shellyan Fraser-Price, was also heavily criticized for their poor baton changes.
When we go as a technical team, we are guided by the selection policy. So if a coach makes a request for his athletes to run, for example, 4x1 or just 4x2, then that is honored by the selection committee. And we tend to work with that because we don't know where the coach is in relation to their program.
Right.
If it is that there's a national trials, then it is a different ball game because you know they are selected for specific events, and you have the choice or the opportunity to include them in a relay pool.
Meanwhile, track and field analyst Dwayne Extall says the limited training and competition resources available to local coaches and athletes must be addressed if Jamaican athletes are to continue matching strides with the best in the world in the immediate future.
I have a problem with how the investment here is being done with our athletes, because when I think about how our athletes have to prepare for different championships or different events, when you want recovery items, the money that our coaches and their different camps have to pay to get their athletes into recovery or to get equipment into Jamaica is a difficult thing for them to manage, because I've been in a school overseas, and the equipment that they have at their readiness, we don't have it here. And for coaches to get it here, to go through all of the custom processes, it's going to cost them an arm and a leg. If we are serious about Jamaica's track and field, we have to invest, because I think from 2008 until now, we've been running on autopilot, and the world has caught up. Because, you know, there's no more Usain Bolt, and his presence alone encouraged the entire nation, not just track and field, the entire nation. But with him gone, something has to be done to make sure that our coaches and the different camps have the things that they need that are necessary to prepare our athletes for the world stage. Because if we don't put those things in place, we're going to struggle.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, good afternoon.